The receipt was still in his hand when the first officer's palm landed on his shoulder, and that single touch turned a Tuesday afternoon errand into the worst 9 minutes of Marcus Whitfield's life. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in stories that remind us who we really are, hit like, drop a comment, share this with someone who needs it, and subscribe to Kindness Library so you never miss a story like this one. Marcus was 41 years old, a structural engineer, a father of 2, and on that particular afternoon, simply a man buying formula and diapers for his 6-month-old daughter at a Meridian grocery on the edge of downtown. The sun poured through the front windows in thick gold bars. He had a receipt from the self-checkout folded neatly in his shirt pocket, the way he always kept it, because his late mother had taught him that a black man in America should never leave a store without proof of what he paid for. That habit, born of caution passed down like an heirloom, was about to save him. The store manager, a wiry man named Grant Pelsky, had been watching Marcus on the security monitor since he walked in. Grant had a theory about who shoplifted and who didn't, a theory built on nothing but the color of a stranger's skin and the shape of his own fear. When Marcus walked toward the exit with 2 plastic bags, Grant didn't check the register log. He didn't ask a single question. He picked up the store phone and told the 911 dispatcher there was a robbery in progress. 2 patrol cars arrived within 4 minutes, lights spinning red and blue against the storefront glass. Officer Renata Cole was the first through the door, hand already resting near her belt, voice sharp with adrenaline. Marcus raised both hands slowly, the diaper bag still swinging from his elbow, his heart slamming against his ribs so hard he thought the officers could hear it. He kept saying the same 4 words, quiet and steady, "I have my receipt. I have my receipt." What Grant Pelsky did not know, what he could not have known, was that a 19-year-old college student named Priya Anand was sitting in her car in the parking lot, phone already raised, recording through the windshield because something about the scene made her stomach turn. She caught everything. She caught Marcus's shaking hands. She caught Grant pointing through the window, mouthing the word thief. And she caught, in a stroke of luck that would matter more than she could have imagined, a clear shot of the second officer's badge number as he stepped out of his cruiser, the metal catching the afternoon sun. Marcus was handcuffed for 6 minutes before Officer Cole actually looked at his receipt. 6 minutes of a stranger's knee pressed lightly but firmly against his back while his daughter's formula sat forgotten on the hot pavement. 6 minutes of customers watching through the glass, none of them speaking up, none of them moving, the particular silence of people who have convinced themselves that someone else will do something. When the itemized total on the paper finally matched the contents of his bags, the cuffs came off, and Officer Cole muttered an apology that barely qualified as one. Grant Pelsky, when asked directly why he'd called, shrugged and said Marcus had looked suspicious circling the baby aisle for too long. Priya uploaded the video that night with shaking hands and a caption that read simply, "This happened today, and this man did nothing wrong." By morning it had 800,000 views. By the following afternoon, it had 4 million. People weren't just angry, though they were angry. They were heartbroken watching a father's hands tremble over baby formula. And because Priya's camera had caught the badge clearly, the internet did what it does best, it found a name to match the number, and Officer Devon Marsh, the second responding officer who had said almost nothing during the stop but who stood by silently while it unfolded, became the face people wanted answers from. But here is the part of the story that made it different from 1,000 others like it. Devon Marsh did not disappear behind a department statement. He did not hide. 3 days after the video went viral, he asked his precinct for permission to speak publicly, and when a local news station agreed to air it, he sat across from Marcus Whitfield in a small studio and, for the first time, took full responsibility on camera. He told Marcus and every viewer watching that he had let assumption walk ahead of investigation, that he'd had 11 years on the force and still let a stranger's fear direct his hands before his training did. He didn't ask for forgiveness. He said he understood if it never came. Marcus, sitting there under studio lights he never asked for, found himself doing something he hadn't expected. He listened. He watched a grown man's voice break slightly on live television, and something in Marcus's chest, wound tight since the moment those cuffs clicked shut, loosened just a little. He said that what he wanted wasn't an apology performed for cameras, he wanted change that outlasted the headlines, training that actually stuck, accountability that didn't evaporate once public attention moved elsewhere. The story could have ended in outrage and stayed there. Instead, something rarer happened. The grocery chain fired Grant Pelsky within the week, but more importantly, they partnered with a civil rights organization to overhaul how store staff were trained to handle suspected theft, replacing gut instinct with actual verification protocol. Officer Marsh became an unlikely advocate inside his own department, pushing for a bystander accountability policy requiring officers to intervene when a colleague acts on bias rather than evidence. And Marcus, 6 months later, stood beside Devon at a community forum, not as enemies forced together for a photo, but as two men who had built something honest out of a terrible afternoon. If this story moved something in you, if you felt your chest tighten and then slowly unclench the way Marcus's did, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, and share it with someone who still believes people can change. And before you go, do us one small favor. Type the word kindness in the comments below, just that one word, so we know this story reached you and reminded you why it matters. Marcus still keeps his receipts folded in his shirt pocket, not out of fear anymore, but as a quiet reminder that the truth, however long it takes, has a way of finding daylight.